Look into it. I always say, is the answer always more patients? If it is, you're on a treadmill, right? And I think healthcare practitioners need to become more innovative. And I think you don't need a specialized degree. I know we love degrees in
They
healthcare.
do.
I don't think you need a degree to become innovative or to ingest or to inject creativity in models. He's a Florida-based founder who's mixing clinical innovation with a sharp business sense. He didn't go to PT school, but his business partner ran 6 successful clinics until the insurance companies pulled the rug out from under him. But they didn't stop us. Say hey to the dude from Thrive Med. Welcome, Chad, to PT Pintcast. So your background is unique, right? You come from outside of healthcare. Like, walk us through that. Like, I did a little bit in the intro, but like, what's your superhero backstory, as I like to usually say?
Yeah. So I haven't had a job since like 2008 or so. I feel weird because I'm like dealing with these like doctors and therapy, physical therapy and chiropractors. They're all doctors. Both my partners are doctors. I'm like the odd man out. So I've ran sales offices. I've basically done internet business of some sort since 2013 full time. Teamed up with my wife, and we've been doing coaching and consulting. Got our 2 Comma Club, if you're familiar with the ClickFunnels world. Got that in 2021, I think. And then now we're kind of like, that business is doing well. It's like we're getting more into like legacy, like these like speakers, like really big people. We're actually be teaming up with people that did this huge movie back like forever ago. I'll talk more about it when it's like finalized, but yeah, so I'm super pumped about that.
So you connected people. That's sort of your background, right? How do I connect this person? And it sort of doesn't matter the medium. Is it the internet? Is it mail? Is it phone call? Is it a text message? This is connecting people on 2 ends of a medium.
Yeah, well, the more important thing is actually creating systems around it. So a lot of people are really good at connecting people, but there's no system on either side of it. And so it's like a hot mess. And so you got to create systems on both sides. So I'm like really good. I'm like a good connector, but I'm also a good systems strategy visionary side of it, not that so much the implementing. Like, I can create the idea of what it should look like, and then I need to hand it off to somebody else, or it's not going to work.
Yeah, I heard Marcus Lemonis, I think he said once, people don't run businesses, people run processes, processes run businesses. And I remember the first time I heard that, I was like, that's absolutely not true. It's all people. And then I thought about it, and I'm like, oh no, that's right. It's because if you have to do everything, if you had to push the rock up the hill from the bottom of the hill every day, you'd do it a little bit. And then eventually you wouldn't, because then you'd have 50 rocks and you're like, I can't possibly scale this. I'm just pushing one rock at a time. But if you have a system that does that. So,
for sure.
So let's go backwards. Let's rewind. How did the Thrive Med model come to be? Like, there's a story on your website.
I'll give it real quick. So Ed, our fearless leader, he's like the guy that like ran 6 offices, was doing pretty good in the Cairo space, but then got hit super hard by an insurance company that may be going through some legal stuff currently.
Right.
And he had to come out of his pocket a bunch of money to just keep everything afloat, and it did that. And then he was like, how do I actually make this a little bit more bulletproof, right? Because it's like they were profitable, but they weren't. So he basically created, this was like before a lot of people were doing the medical mall situation, where you have a PT, you have a chiro. He inserted medical services, which like the needling, the dry needling, and the trigger point therapy. They had medical massage. They had an acu that they didn't own but somehow controlled. I don't get into all the legalities of that. So basically run this super successful like multi like they all referred to kind of each other, and it just made sense.
Okay. So he built sort of that, right?
Yeah, he built that, and then he has a son that is, has a mental handicap, and he was living down in Florida, and things kind of turned to not the worst, but not in a good spot. So he decided to sell the the clinics and came down to Florida, and he's basically been mulling for like 2-3 years, like wishing he could get back to doing what he was doing, like helping people and doing all this. And like he's never ran a online business. He doesn't know social media. I don't think he even has any social media, like any of that. And then we met. It was weird. Like, I don't know if you guys believe in God or anything like that, but it's crazy how like first. So my wife always believes that like when we just moved to this area, we're in Florida, St. Augustine. I know our business is in New York, and you're like, how the heck does that work? But we just moved to St. Augustine, Florida, and she was like, I know that the church, God will send me what church I should be going to. So she's driving to her consulting gig at this really successful personal development brand that she's consulting at, and this sign, Reverb Church, like on the side of the road. Oh, that's my church. Okay, got it. We go to the church. I've never done a men's group ever in my life. We go to this church. We walk out. They're like, "Hey, you need to meet so and so." And then he's like, "Hey, have you ever thought about coming to a men's group?" I'm like, "Nope, not really ever wanted to." And then I was like, something just kept pulling at me. I should go. You should go. Okay, whatever, I'll just follow. And I showed up. I basically spoke my mind. I just, said how things are with me, and told my story a little bit. And he's like, man, you're so like, this guy comes up to me the next week. He's like, you're so confident. I love how you just set boundaries and like stick how it is. He's like, they had a WhatsApp group, and they're like, we're going to do everything in WhatsApp. I'm like, I'm never going to be in there, so don't worry about that. And he's like, dude, I just love that. I can't do, he like doesn't have that like capability. And he's like, I just want to please everybody. And I'm like, well, and I'm like, tell me about you. Like, you're a doctor, and now you had some things in New York.
What is his background? What field is he in? Is he a PT?
So he's a chiro, but then he owns this medical company that kind of owns them all.
Got it.
I don't know the legalities of it. I know New York's super crazy and has all kinds of rules of things. But the PT office, the chiro office, the medical massage, they all own.
Okay. All right, real talk for a second. If you're a physical therapist or running a clinic, you already wear like 50 hats a day. Clinician, manager, scheduler, part-time tech support. I see you. But what if you had a sidekick that could help you do all of that? Something smarter. That's where Empower EMR by MW Therapy comes in. It's built just for physical therapists, and it's loaded with smart automations and AI that help you grow your practice without burning out. No more chasing paper trails or fighting outdated systems. This thing handles billing, scheduling, documentation, patient engagement, all in one clean, customizable platform. The best part? It's actually affordable and scales as you grow. Clinics everywhere are loving it, and if you're ready to take the stress off your plate and be the hero of your practice again, check out a free demo at mwtherapy.com. So he was doing this thing. He had to leave because of family, and family comes first.
Yep.
And then he sort of invented this like Thrive Med model.
Yeah.
And then clinics hear something like add $20,000 a month to your bottom line. I'm guessing they probably get a little skeptical. They want to lean in. They want to say like, okay, like you have my attention, but like explain more. What's the actual path to that kind of growth?
Yeah. So the crazy thing is anybody knows in New York, PTs and chiros cannot do medical services. They can't do legally. They can't do dry needling. They can't do trigger point therapy. They can't do any of it. So what we do is we have a MD on staff, Dr. Ehrlich, and he hires a PA to come into PT and chiro offices to do just that, dry needling, trigger point therapy under ultrasound. And we can get so much more from insurance than, even states that can do dry needling, they can only usually do cash. They can't do reimbursement. So even when we do expand to other states, it's still kind of like has some room there, because PTs, like in New Jersey, they can do dry needling, but they can only do cash. They're charging $40 to like $80, and then it takes away a PT from doing what they were doing working with patients. So
Okay. So, all right, let me explain this back to make sure if I got it right, and if
Yep.
not, you can correct me. All right, so in a state like New York, and I'm pretty sure California, you can't do dry needling.
Correct. Or trigger point therapy. Yep.
Got it. So, but there are practitioners that can, like MDs or physician's assistants. A PT clinic or a chiro clinic or a business that can't do it doesn't have to hire the physician's assistant. They work with you. Like, so now there's 3 people on the board. There's the clinic, there's the PA, and there's you, or how does this work?
Yeah. So they can't own, so a PT can't own a medical company.
Right.
So there's that part too. They can't even oversee medical services. So what we do is we bring in a PA working under an MD to do trigger point therapy and dry needling, and then we pay the PT a clinical support fee because we can't do kickbacks, legal in any state really, and so where we start is we start a rent. We do a rental payment. We see how it's integrating into the practice, how the patients are loving it, and then we set a clinical support fee. And then because there are PT offices in New York that look like they have a dry needling or trigger point, but what they're doing is a medical company is renting space from the PT, and they're paying them like $1,000 a month, maybe $2,000 a month, where our clinical support fee could be $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 a month,
Based
depending
on,
on
and those numbers get larger based on what? Traffic and volume?
unofficially.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So now you're able to, and again, correct me. So, all right, I'm a PT clinic. I'm somewhere. I am in New York. I'm in the state of New York. If I had a clinic, I would now be able to say you can get this type of treatment here. If someone were to ask, I would say, well, I can't do it, but I have someone who I bring in. And this person there 5 days a week? Are they doing, is it?
It really depends on their flow and like how we can stack it. Like if a PT office is like popping, right? And we have all the people, that it totally makes sense for us to come 5 days a week. But ideally what we do is stack them as much as we can.
Sure.
So we can get it working effective.
Okay. And now you're able to, now that therapy is that type of treatment, that modality is able to be offered, and everything is above board because you said we can't do it, but this person can. Great. So we're now going to band together. We're going to collaborate, and we're going to be able to offer this to the people that want it.
Yeah, and like the flow of it all, it looks you guys are all like the PT's office is like hands off. They're just helping with a little bit of the flow of it, just very very light. They can't oversee anything. They don't have to manage this person. But for the patient, it looks like this person works for you, right? They look like they're part of your clinic.
They're in your office.
They're in your office,
right?
So to everybody else, they're like, oh, okay. They just now have a PA on staff, and they do the service now. Awesome. And then now you get this huge paycheck in the mail, because average PT in New York is, revenuing, billing $80,000 to $100,000 a month, but profit wise it's like 17.5. And so if we can add 10 to the bottom line, because there's no overhead in this, they don't have to pay us, they don't have to do anything, there's no overhead. So it's like, really, if they have a high volume practice, they could double their profit.
So the patient has to pay in cash, right? Because it's
no,
they don't. Okay. Oh,
no,
because it's being provided by PA.
Mm-hmm.
Understood. Okay. So it's going through insurance. That insurance payment goes to whom? You? Has to go to you.
To us.
Can't go to the PT.
Can't go to them.
Got it. And then you pay the clinic a fee based on volume, or you come up with a preset.
So that's why we do the rental. We do a rental time, so we pay them $1,000, $2,000 a month just for 90 days, just to kind of feel out how it's integrating, how the system's integrating in, how its take rate and all those things. And then we basically said, okay, how much of the clinical support, because essentially we can't pay for flow. What we have to do is pay for support.
What is flow? What do you mean by flow?
Patient flow. Like we can't pay for referrals. Like there's the laws of
sure.
Kickback laws, all of that. And so what we do pay for is support, right? We're paying for you to hand the person your front desk, to hand them the form to fill out in their information, and to send them to the PA and those things. And it's very light, but
Sure.
it's like light work for your team, high payout.
So as far as the patient is concerned, I'm getting this service at this PT clinic.
Mm-hmm.
According to insurance, and they it's in writing, this is going actually to this person because they have a different type of license in the state of New York.
Correct.
But it's happening here. The clinician suggested the treatment, or how does it go from, where's the handoff from PT to, hey, I think you would benefit from this treatment. We offer it, 3-4 days a week.
Yeah, so it's like going to the doctors, right? Like if you go in the doctors and your wrist hurts, the doctor doesn't sell you on an X-ray.
Right. They just say,
They just say, hey, you have, in this case, with dry needling or trigger point therapy, you have you have muscle soreness, you have muscle, basically anything with muscles. Like if you have a muscular situation, like this helps. The inflammation, pain relief.
They've also heard about it from their friends. There are people that I know, I live close enough to New Jersey, that will drive to New Jersey to get it because you can't get it in New York, things like that. Yep. People are smart enough. They're savvy enough.
Yeah. So they're starting to get a thing. But so you just kind of in the onboarding, hey, it looks like you qualify for getting dry needling, or hey, I think trigger point therapy is going to make sense for your treatment along with our treatment. So you create your PT plan, and then you just add it on, and then they just get moved over after or before, maybe before. Like especially like the slam dunk is if somebody's too sore or there's too much pain to treat them, then you get some dry needling or some trigger point therapy to break up the trigger points in the muscle before you treat them, and then that helps. And if it's really bad, Novocaine, you can totally do that too.
Okay. So what are some of the outcomes? Like, how many clinics, what's the timeline? How long did you start? What does it look like for a clinic or two in terms of revenue and happy patients? We want to make sure the patients are happy and things like that. Like what stories have you had?
So brand new business is this long as this business, right? ThriveMed is brand new, but they ran, 6 clinics. They said the worst part, the side effect of this, the bad side is the patient likes it so much they don't want to get off it.
Yeah.
So because it's just like you said, people drive to New Jersey. No offense to New Jersey, but like they drive to New Jersey to get it done. They love it. So therefore, it's something that they want. As far as getting started, we get to hire a PA, right? We ideally find you, if the flow is there, they have the patient flow. One PA, one office is ideal.
Sure.
If it's a lower flow, we'll split it. So we have one in Brooklyn that we're starting right now, and so he doesn't quite have the insurance types, and the flow isn't quite there. So we need to find another place in Brooklyn. So if anybody's here in Brooklyn, we're looking for one. We're hiring a PA in that area to do that one, and then we can get that up and rolling in the next week or so. So does that answer your question?
What I'm saying is like, so how do we have results? Is there a clinic that you're like, yeah, we actually did this, we doubled revenue, or we added this? Like, what's like what are some, if someone's still listening 17 minutes into this and they're like, I'm in New York. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, is there anything you could tell them that make them go, okay?
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing is if we can get 100 injections a week, the clinical support fee is going to be around $10,000 to $20,000 a month. This business is like brand new. I will say that because with this model of having multiple things, they were doing about 6 times more than other clinics in their area.
Got it. Okay. All right. You didn't start your practice to become a full-time billing detective, right? So what if you could let Athelis RCM take that off your plate? It's AI-powered revenue cycle management that actually gets you paid faster, with fewer denials and way less stress. Athelis plugs into your EMR, no messy tech drama, and it starts working immediately. Denials managed, payments tracked, insights clear as day. You get a real-time dashboard that shows you where your money is, what's working, and where you can improve. If you're ready to stop chasing dollars and start collecting them, it's time to check out Athelis RCM. Go to athelis.com and book that demo. That's ATHELAS.com. Your future self will thank you. What's the biggest mindset block clinic owners have when it comes to adding something like this profitability?
Yeah, it's change. It's like a fear of change. It's like it's funny that as soon as I say dry needling, they literally, I don't know if like there's somebody from the government like poking them with a stick, and they just go into this automatic like it's illegal for a PT to do dry needling in the state of New York. Like yes, I know that, but that's why we bring in a PA and MD, and like they like put up this like defensive thing, like we can't do that. It's like, I don't like, is there like a Gestapo?
Because as a PT, as you mentioned, so, and I'm not, up on the rules and a PT couldn't hire a physician's assistant to do this because that would mean, and then you couldn't even hire them even if you were just a business owner because you'd be overseeing, I guess what they call as medical treatment. But this is a workaround for that, to put the right people on the right field, on the right positions in the right field at the right time to provide the service, and a way to go around. So how would you recommend, or how do you recommend clinics market these things once they're integrated? Once you know that there's the right patient volume, and everything's set up, what's the best way to now communicate this to let people know it's there, things like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy, like some pamphlets at the front desk. Maybe we give you the sign, we give you pamphlets, we give you signs, we give you all those things. But it's really just easy. It's like, does your patient have a muscular situation, like a condition? Yes, 95% of you are saying, like, 95% of the patients probably have something like that. So it's like they need it. So we just move them over. It's like you go into the doctors, you get your blood pressure. It really doesn't need to be marketed. It just needs to be like pointed in the right direction.
Or I would say too, like probably internal education to your clinicians now, if you're the clinic owners, like now here's how we're able to do this, map it out for them. Because that's where the trust is, right? Pamphlets are nice, but the trust is, this feels like my PT is telling me, hey, this is an option. I'm able to give you the pros and cons, and then I make suggestions, you make decisions, and we now offer this service here. And this is what
I think what this goes full circle to where we started this conversation, is the system, right?
Sure.
Like how can we just plug it into your system? Right? Like whatever your onboarding system is for new patients, we just plug it into that and boom. Like nothing has to really change. This isn't like you're not like doing the vacation rental pitch at the Marriott down here in Orlando or something. But
so let's talk challenges will be the final thing. You're doing this. You're trying to communicate to business owners specifically in New York, and maybe, I mean, you already sort of hinted, maybe eventually leaving just the state of New York, right? If it's a good model and it scales systems. What's the hardest part of maybe scaling this model? What resistance have you seen, and what have you learned from that resistance?
Yeah, it's really my partners. They want to like get everything. They're very conservative in everything, and they want to make sure that it's working really, really well before we expand states. The other thing is, I'm so used to scalable models. This is really taking a local business because, local doctor that has to be certified in every state that we work in. Then we need to hire a like a coordinator, a medical coordinator in each state that to train, because not every PA knows how to do dry needling and trigger point, so they have to be trained. So it's like, there's just like those like local logistical things where this seems like this should be like super easy to just like, the offer seems like it's so easy that like California, I could just jump into California and just do it there or wherever. There's other states that the legalities make sense for this. And even the ones that they legally they can do dry needling, it's more profitable for us to come in and you're going to make around the same amount without paying a PT, like, so when we get to that point.
Understood. If people wanted to reach out, where would you send them if they wanted to follow up?
Yeah, Chad Oxted on LinkedIn is a great place. PTRevenueBoost.com is a good place. Those are probably the two places to reach out.
Perfect. All right. Every episode we have this tradition called the parting shot, Chad. No pressure. What's the last thing you'd want to leave with the audience? What's your mic drop moment or soapbox statement? What's your final thoughts here?
Yeah, I talked to the guy in Brooklyn, the Cairo, and he's like, "Why wouldn't somebody do this?" And I'm like, "They're dumb as hell."
Chad knows how to close, baby. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, look into it. I always say, is the answer always more patience? If it is, you're on a treadmill, right?
Yeah.
And I think healthcare practitioners need to become more innovative. And I think you don't need a specialized degree. I know we love degrees in healthcare.
They do.
I don't think you need a degree to become innovative or to inject creativity in models.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's like I'm always like, how can I make more streams of income from the same asset? Crypto bros and forex scammers really messed up the idea of passive income, right? They pitch that you don't have to do nothing, and you could just make all this free money, and it's all going to be passive, and you're never going to have to do anything, and it's just free money. But the truth is passive streams are actually real if you have an asset.
Sure.
It's like, so if you have money, you can put it into ETF. If you have an asset like your clinic, you can do other services in your thing and make passive streams. It's real. It just, people have to get through this like block that the passive income's bad, or I have to work really hard. I think there's like blocks internally that I have to work really hard to make money. And so if we can get through that, it makes sense.
The dude, Thrive Medical. Chad, appreciate the time, man. Thanks for explaining this model for us.
Appreciate you, Jimmy. Appreciate you.
Let's be real. You didn't become a therapist to be average. You've got something in you that wants more mastery, more impact, more confidence in the clinic. That's exactly what Brooks Institute of Higher Learning delivers. Their residency and fellowship programs aren't just resume builders, they're transformation zones. You get one-on-one mentoring, deep dive classwork, labs, and real-time experience inside one of the most advanced rehab systems in the country. And the best part? You're not grinding this out on the side. You get a full salary and benefits while you train with the best. Whether it's ortho, neuro, peds, geriatrics, women's health, Brooks IHL helps you become the expert you know you're meant to be. Check out brooksihl.org to learn more and take that next step.